Soundstripe. Welcome to South End Supporters of St. Louis City SC podcast, powered by Ready to Live Wellness, and coming at you from the Warrior Logos Wear studio. This is the podcast that has more internet issues than City has points on the season. Eric Cole alongside the Monday morning center back Dave Wyckoff, as our buddy DH is still out, and we're going at it. We're powering through. We're going to get, just like we do every week with losses, now we're having to deal with the loss of just constant. We were talking a little bit like pre-show. We're starting to think it's not as much Jay Clem has infiltrated the whole news system. Like he wasn't happy just taking out the internet. Now he's gone to the actual reporting sites and he's
invaded Riverside.
He's invaded Riverside. Like what is it?
He's a Jay Clemlin.
Yeah, he's a Jay Clemlin. Yeah, I love that. Like yeah, I don't the olive branch or not, this is his Trojan horse right now that he has infiltrated the Riverside app with that let's have friendly stuff. But no, we are here for the STL Kolache preview episode, as well as our Felix's Pizza Pub South End submission. So as we said, we've got Houston. We're back at home this weekend. City's going to take on Houston at home, 7:30 kickoff time. Typically, when we play Houston, especially at home, it always seems to be a feisty affair. For some reason, it just always seems like there's some sort of – definitely we get some sort of boo bird throughout the night, but it's always definitely a big physical competition between these two Western Conference teams. Not necessarily a rivalry, but I almost felt like over the years these games have been more highly intense than a lot of other games with other opponents that we played throughout the year. But, Dave, let's get into that STL Kolache preview. Of course, brought to you by STL Kolache in Sunset Hills.
That's right. The home of the original chicken enchilada kolache. STL Kolache makes breakfast better. We talk incessantly about kolache, so, maybe a little too much for some people. I don't know. It's just too bad if they don't. So if you're in the mood to learn more about a kolache, head to 1530 South Kirkwood Road at the intersection of Kirkwood Road and Watson, next to Highway 44, and check out our friends. Get one for breakfast or lunch or dinner or a nice little tasty treat. You will not be disappointed. They bring you the match week preview every week. This week going up against the Houston Dynamo, the team that there always seems to be some sort of fracas, as Eric said. Last time out, it was probably I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say it was probably the worst road effort of the year by City. Mm-hmm. A 3-0 drubbing without much inspiration or any real passion at all. This game's at home, and City have been playing a lot better at home recently under Critch, so expect them to come out and have a bit of a fire lit after the way that the game ended last week against Vancouver. I think there's two ways this game could go, because City has tended to show up against playoff teams in the Western Conference over the last couple of months and not show up against the non-playoff teams. Mm-hmm. So let's hope we get the former rather than the latter. I have City coming out on fire. At this point, there's nothing left to lose. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're playing for spots. You're playing to impress the prospective next sporting director and the next coach, and you're putting film out there for maybe your next team. So mm-hmm. I expect them to come out with their hair on fire. I think this is a 3-1 win for City. They have had no problem scoring goals, and some nice goals lately. You had counter goals, and you had a nice cross and header by Leuven. So they've shown some versatility in how they score, and Houston's not setting the world on fire in terms of defense. So I think I'm going to predict a 3-1 City win here. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Do you almost look at it, and I know we've gone against quite a few of them and even had a little luck on our own new coach bounce. Do you think there's almost like even a little sporting director bounce? I feel like that should almost be more important with the way like Lutz has said, you got a new sporting director and a lot of these guys are up on options. Like, that should be who you really want to impress, just to make sure you're even around for the new coach.
You guys were so bad that you got the person in charge of the entire program fired, so maybe you play better. Yeah, maybe I guess so. I guess feasibly that could be.
Like, I do like the fact that this next game that City will come have off of the Lutz news is going to be at home. Maybe something just to keep it seems like a lot of people on the socials, maybe that's something that, gets the fan base back excited again, whether you thought Lutz should be out or didn't like Lutz or whatever it may be. It could be something that, triggers a little bit of extra excitement out of the fan base, because I think some fan base people still think like it's going to be an overnight deal, that things are going to turn around. But yeah, I think it's a good thing that we'll be back at home for that aspect. I think it's a good thing that we'll be back at home with Houston always seeming to be physical. It seems like they really like to commit to their wingers getting forward, which could be a good spell for like what we saw in that second goal against Vancouver with Sang Bin being kind of spread out a lot. They really like to use Dorsey, which is their right back. I know Sang Bin's typically out on their left back side, but who knows? Just finding open space with their outside backs committing forward. Artur, their veteran in the midfield, I relate him to the fact of almost like Casemiro, where the legs are starting to get a little bit heavier on him. Maybe we can take advantage of that. He's very experienced and very smart with his positioning and everything like that. But maybe it's something that I'm assuming Ostrak will still be in there. Can work some space and find himself in a good open field kind of run atmosphere and springing. I just hope it's a good bounce back. I think Houston struggled throughout their opponents here lately. Now, I will say one thing is they have stayed in games, and where they have gotten these draws as of late, it's because of very late goals in games that they did not deserve. So City, it seems to be a big thing so far this year with games at home where they maybe dominate a team but still come out with the loss. So that's going to be something that they have to really keep in their mind. But I'm just going to look at this as a positive outlook. I know that's tougher, but I'm going to go like a 2-0 win for City, bouncing back at home. Everything that's just going on and up in the air right now, I think it's a good thing that they're coming back at home. I'm worried, like you said, typically they seem to play almost down to their opponent, but right now everybody but a couple teams are above. So hopefully they look at it that way and they can just, realize that there's no other excuse from here on out as far as the fan base and everything else goes. So you got to perform from here on out. So do you have any odds or anything like that as far as like what they're thinking?
Are you ever really playing down to your opponent when you're in a race for the wooden spoon?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What did you say? I cracked myself up because, as we all know, I'm my biggest fan, and I didn't hear what you said.
Do you have any betting odds on this one? Or
no, I hadn't even looked it up on FanDuel. I am so just. I'm afraid to take any of my attention away from this podcast right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm afraid that the Jay Clemlin will come back and steal what internet connection I have.
I know.
So
you've turned the camera off, so that's making it real fun for me to try and figure out when you are or aren't talking.
But if you've noticed, since I turned the camera off, the connection has been much better, and we're at 98% uploaded. So it is partially due to my ugly mug that we were being docked recording speed. So I will take one for the team, and the fans, obviously, the listeners won't care because nobody watches the YouTube as we've
I don't know that
we've come to know. So no, I got to figure that without looking at it, City are favored because they're favored in most home games. I would place the way that they've been playing. If they can bring the same pressure and the same just attitude and style that they have against the Vancouvers and the Portlands of the world, like they should easily beat Houston. I don't care what the numbers say. It's been such a weird season, it's a weird thing to say, but like there are very few teams right now at home where I would say, and I've made this mistake, right? We made this mistake a couple times in the last couple of months where we're assuming that they're going to get their ass whooped, and then they come out and they almost beat Portland, and they beat Nashville bad, like dominate Nashville. So, I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to just put the beating on Houston.
Home performances have been definitely a lot better, and you're getting a healthier team back, which has in turn come around to goals. You have your Klaus has kind of been pretty hot as of late, which is always what you need. So yeah, I think it's weird to say, but things are looking better we'll just say whatever you take that however it is. Things are looking better. Again, that game time will be Saturday at 7:30 at Citypark. I find it hysterical that Dave was just bragging about since he turned the camera off. He was like, the internet connection and everything's running smoothly. And on my end, his audio cut out for about 5 seconds the second he finished saying that. So I was laughing very much. And so but I mainly wanted him to admit he's the one who turned off his camera, so the Monday morning center back pack doesn't come at me for doing that. So again, be there, be loud. Citypark Saturday at 7:30. They'll take on Houston, and that was your STL Kolache preview. Again, brought to you by STL Kolache in Sunset Hills. Check them out at 1530 South Kirkwood Road for those delicious kolaches. And of course, we'll transition, as this is our slob episode, into another great food place to go check out, and that's of course Felix's Pizza Pub. That bring you these Felix's Pizza Pub South End submissions every week that we look forward to. Check them out at 6401 Clayton Avenue in Dogtown. Again, they are an official City on Tap bar. So if you can't be there at Citypark Saturday night, no better place to be than there to watch the game. We'll kick this one off with our buddy, the South State supporter, Jeff Thornborough. He said, Lutz is gone. We got hosed and life goes on. Look forward to the new director and the vision they bring to the club. Family in town this weekend prevents me and the missus from attending the match. So if you look up there and don't see me flexing, you'll know why. The South State supporter, a great American, fan of the match, flexor of muscles, Jeff Thornborough. So, boy, we're going to be missing that intimidation factor up in the South End corner there. But hopefully, as Dave said, City will keep it going. Dave, this is real tough with your camera and your mic off. I can't tell if you are still.
He may have just swung the odds. The odds makers, I just checked on FanDuel, the odds actually swung dramatically with the news that the South State supporters were not going to be there. So that's a big. So there might be some value though. It might be a nice value bet now on City.
Oh, they overlook it. They think
you might be able to put a small taste now on City.
That's great. That's great. Yes. We'll look at it that way. Good call. Next, we'll go to David Thompson. He said, as good as Mackay played and as ridiculous as that self-trip PK was, I only want to talk about him sticking Mueller and outworking and muscling Berhalter. And he sent a couple clips in from the game. He said, to all these fools who act like he needs to bulk up in the weight room, I guess that's what he was saying. I don't know if David Thompson thinks that we are very much pro Mackay. We've been saying all along, keep his name in your thought. Remember the name, and he's going to be a big prevalent part on as far as City goes. So yeah, we are very much pro Mackay as far as this podcast goes.
Yeah, I don't know that he's calling us out, but maybe just in general that people kind of think Mackay needs. I mean, he needs a lot of time, and I hope that now that the white flag has been waved, I would like to see him get some starts now. I mean, there's no reason he's on the roster fully now. He's not limited at all. I mean, and I like that Critch is probably still going to make him earn it, but there's no reason not to see what you've got. And if he's your future, which we all believe he is, let's start giving him 60, 65 a night and see what the kid's got.
You could fully see him moving out into that wing position, Hartle moving more central again, and then Ostrak kind of getting pushed back on the, for that goes. I could fully see that. And like you said, with what else you got for the rest of the season, why not throw that in there? Next, we'll go to Joe Radwanski. Help me out with that pronunciation there, Joe. But he said, curious about your takes on the refs and the questionable, that being kind, penalties given. While I don't like the conspiracy theories, this appears to be too obvious. The league wanted their new shiny star to get a goal and a winner. Outside the broadcast crew, I haven't seen one article about this decision. Seems like they are just burying how trash MLS refs are. They suck. Also, thoughts on Bruno becoming a head case because he was brushed by the ref before his Man U penalty miss. So we kind of addressed the first part of it in the earlier episode this week, but Dave, you want to kind of remind people of all your thoughts on that, because I thought it was pretty dead on as far as what you think as far as a conspiracy, but more so with the league not addressing anything as far as that goes.
Well, we're not sure if that episode made it to air, so
True.
we'll go ahead
Very
and just
true.
kind of repeat. we just to sum it up, like we don't think it was it's a conspiracy thing, big clubs against small clubs or whatever. At least not like an organized one. Like you could argue that there's a lot of implicit bias against smaller clubs or smaller markets or whatever, just based on coverage and just general attitude that seems to be pushed in terms of enthusiasm about different clubs during different games. But that's a different story. I don't think there's a concerted effort to put over the big teams and the big incoming stars. I would be really surprised. To me, at that point, it seems like you'd be dealing with something that was like criminal. But either way, I think it's easy, and that's what we said earlier in the week, it's easy to believe in conspiracies when the reality is that it's a systemic failure of replay and of the application of laws of the game and how and checks and balances and how active referees shouldn't be reviewing calls of active referees, and in-game officials should not be reviewing their own questionable calls because it's impossible to be objective when reviewing your own call. We're all humans. We all have our own pride and egos. So yeah, those are our thoughts. And if you want to go back, I think I was, well, I don't know if I was able to sum it up better or not on Tuesday, Eric, because we just don't know. We just do not know.
Yeah, we came up with I came up with, but a couple of them were more so yours, but like 4 things that we'd like to see as far as that goes is, being a more central body as far as like VAR goes, rather than refs talking with refs. It's a central body, and then refs are talking with that said central body. We would like to see a shot clock on VAR, because if it's not clear and obvious, then you should be able to see it within that period of time. We would like to hear the audio released from said VAR discussions and just ref audio in general. I think if they feel like they made the correct call, then there should be no issues with putting that out to the public as far as the audio goes. And then lastly, we would love to see press conferences from refs post-game. So a couple things in there that we think would really help just if you're going to continue on with the VAR narrative. As far as, so what he was, the end of his submission, what he was alluding to was in the Man U game against Fulham this past weekend, Man U were awarded a penalty. Bruno Fernandes, who is their PK kicker, he's got this whole ritual, and as he's walking back, the ref is doing a loop back around to kind of set up and bumps Bruno and throws him off his ritual. He then skies a ball that I don't think has still landed at this moment way up into the stands. And, after the game, one thing he kind of did allude to was, he threw him off, didn't apologize or anything like that. But he did say he's got to bury that. My thought is if you're the PK taker, I think it's what's more important, not so much as far as skill in taking a PK, is how well you can handle your nerve, how well you can mentally step up there and keep that nerve no matter what else is going on and still be able to do it under pressure. I think if that ref bump threw him off that much and he just was in such a head case that he felt way off his system, give it to Mbembo at that point, because Mbembo was Brentford's PK taker all along, and have him bury it. But, no excuse for that one. I think that's just I think he tried to use that as a fallback as to why he missed that so bad, but I know it's like a free throw shot where you're very ritualistic, but I think at the end of the day, if you're chosen to be that said PK taker, you have to have some sort of nerve no matter what could happen, because there's times where opposing teams will step in the box, try to delay you, goalkeeper coming in your face and talking all sorts of nonsense. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to try and throw you off your game. And that's why you are chosen to be said PK taker, is because of that type of stuff. So that's where I kind of sit on that.
If you'd like to hear more about that game, you can check out Red versus Blue on Friday morning, where I will be having a good time as we review the week of Premier League action. And Eric might not have as fun of a time this week.
Yeah, if you hear Dave muted a lot on the Friday episode of Red versus Blue, it's not because we are having connectivity issues. It's because I'm so sick of just seeing the smile and hearing the happiness and joy on his face while I have to just take it all in. So, check that out.
May or may not play some special music Friday morning.
I'm just going to hover over the mute button for the entire episode. So just be prepared for that.
Wonderful.
Next, we'll go to one of the OGs of the show, and somebody I'm happy is back. It is Patty Brinson. She said, obviously, I'm thinking about Lutz's departure and his replacement. Also, I'm sure you will be discussing the Rig Vancouver game. My most hated villain in soccer is the referees. So that's a little tease to some prompts that we have for earlier. But it's just good hearing from Patty Brinson again. We haven't
love hearing from Patty Brinson. So, absolutely. Yeah. Shout out Patty Brinson. I also forgot on the Tuesday show to shout out my mom, because the day before we recorded was my mom's birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. She is an ardent City fan, a dedicated listener of this podcast, although I don't know why. But yeah, so shout out Mom.
There we go. Love that. Happy birthday to Dave's mom. Next, we'll go to that guy, Zach Gorski. He said, all I care about this week is who's being cyber attacked. I know tonight that I'll be infiltrating the Top Corner City Talk podcast. Nobody messes with my guys. Hashtag podcast wars. Yes, Gorski. Yes. Ride or die. Ride or die.
I was going to lead with, I think the only person, and I'm glad that that's the direction he went, instead of like, look, listen, I love the attention. Nobody loves me more than me. But I think my wife may have murdered me in my sleep if she had to hear Gorski give me one more compliment. The only person that dislikes me getting compliments from Gorski as much as DH, I think, is Katie. So, shout out. Oh, yeah, please, Gorski, infiltrate that chat. You let them know. We will not abide a Jay Clemlin anymore.
I also love his message to you from last week. It had me cracking up so much.
Oh, he's just a wonderful human.
One of our YouTube he's the man, even though he dislikes everybody but you. On questionable taste in men, but great guy. Yes. That's the main reason I was like, for the love of God, Dave, put your camera back on.
For Gorski.
Yep. Next, we'll go to our man Ryan Cadlick in some Cadlick combat. He said maybe some of the last games would have turned out different if we had a goalkeeper capable of actually saving a PK. Is there a stat somewhere to be found on what team has given up the most PKs? We have to be near the top of that list. We've given up 5 in the last 4 games. On to the business. Same rules as always. We got mascots that could be zoo animals. So we've got 1 Shades from the Orlando Solar Bears, 2 Rory from the Detroit Lions, 3 Iceberg from the Pittsburgh Penguins, Lucille from San Francisco Giants, Pierre from the New Orleans Pelicans, Houday from the Cincinnati Bengals, Farty from the Party Animals, and Big Al from the University of Alabama. Next week.
So we also need to preface this one. Because we don't have David, so we don't have a Chat GPT final. So we can run through these, but we can't give you the winner.
Yeah, we'll do like usual, where we'll make the final, and then hopefully he'll be back next week, and we'll run through the 2, which next week's going to be even wilder because this man has come up with insurance agency mascots. So we've got.
Oh, now you're speaking my language.
We've got
that's my world now.
Yeah, we won't need a Chat GPT. Dave will be able to tell us exactly what would happen in that throwdown.
Yeah.
So we'll have Mayhem from Allstate, Jake from
Loser.
State Farm, Flo from Progressive,
Loser.
The Gecko from Geico,
Big
Limu
loser.
Emu from Liberty.
Oh, the biggest of losers.
Professor Burke from Farmers, the General from General, and Caveman from Geico.
Honestly, I'm not participating in that. I'm not participating in that because there's no little traveler's dog, or there's no red umbrella. So I refuse to participate. So there you go.
What do you expect a little dog carrying an umbrella to handle himself against the caveman Geico? Like,
hey,
crazy?
the king stay the king. All right, I don't care what the mascots are.
Well, we'll let Dave vent his fury a little bit longer and
hashtag insurance wars.
Knowing next week, maybe Cadlick will sub one of them out for a dog carrying a red umbrella. So, in our first matchup, we've got Shades from the Orlando Solar Bears taking on Big Al from the University of Alabama. So Shades, I believe, I was looking up a few of these a little bit earlier, is a polar bear with a I love this shades, this jersey that they're rocking. It's almost like a throwback Suns, Phoenix Suns jersey, but it looks like a ice hockey team. So you got a polar bear basically taking on an elephant, which would be honestly
That's a championship matchup.
That's a pretty stacked matchup right there, if I can say so. Polar bears. They say polar bears are like one of the most vicious animals that there are, but I know like elephants. I mean, I don't know, man. That's a. Do you almost give an edge with the power of the University of Alabama in this one? Like, where do you go? How do you?
No, I think we're talking street fight. Remember, this is all street fight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you got to go elephant. I mean, a polar bear, the saying for the bears is like, if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, say goodnight. But that doesn't apply if you're an elephant. So
yeah, I think size just comes into this one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Next, we've got Rory from the Detroit Lions taking on Farty from the Party Animals, which I love that I think I saw Farty, like, when I was looking it up, like, somebody just said, like, the stinkiest mascot in, I think it was, introducing the gassiest mascot in, and I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is from one of the, like Savannah Banana, baseball league type deals, I think.
Could be. I'm not sure.
I think that's where he's from, but it just looks like a chimpanzee, basically. So we got a chimp basically taking on a lion. To me, that's
I'll take the lion. Yeah.
Pretty obvious in that one. Next, we've got Iceberg from the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on Houday from the Cincinnati Bengals. I think you got to go Tiger over a Penguin.
Tiger over Penguin, yeah.
Yep. And then our last first-round matchup, we've got Lucille from the San Francisco Giants taking on Pierre from the New Orleans Pelicans. So that's an interesting kind of a little
go Pels.
Aquatic battle. Yeah.
Nothing messes with a Pelican, dude.
I would say
a New Orleans Pelican. Come on now.
I would say there's going to be no way that I would ever convince you to let a New Orleans team, no matter who they are, go out the first round. So we'll go with that.
There's a shout out that Katie. There's something Katie and I can agree on. Go Pels.
There you go. Next we'll go. So next round matchup again, a big one, but I feel like this one almost we can see play out in actual like National Geographic footage. So we've got Big Al from the University of Alabama taking on Rory from the Detroit Lions. So I feel like singularly. We're not talking pack here, but this is a random street encounter. Could
a lion versus an elephant?
Lions
if a polar bear can't beat an elephant, a lion's definitely not beating an elephant.
Yeah. So Big Al is definitely moving on in that one, and then we've got Houday from the Cincinnati Bengals taking on Pierre from the New Orleans Pelicans, and I will override you on this one. I don't care. There's no way you're going to tell me that a pelican is ever going to take out a tiger.
Have you ever seen a pelican get eaten in the wild? No, you can't. And the bigger issue here is the use of the Houday, Houdat language by Cincinnati. That belongs.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a whole New Orleans thing.
I don't. There's some sort of cultural crossovers there that I don't fully understand, admittedly. But Houdat, Houday, Houdare. That belongs to Louisiana. That belongs to New Orleans. Now, go Pels always, but yeah, a tiger's gonna maul a pelican.
There we go.
Really, if I'm going blindly that the elephant's gonna beat the lion and the polar bear, we gotta be realistic too. But still go Pels.
I'm excited to hear honestly what ChatGPT has to say though, because I feel like there's a lot more like stuff that those certain mascots do at the game that will translate
it could be
ChatGPT fight that I'm just unaware of that'll make it a little more interesting in that. But yeah, we'll have Big Al taking on Houday from the Cincinnati Bengals, so we'll get that one as well as our insurance mascots battle coming at you next week on that one. I love that, dude. He is again, shout out to Cadlick for the commitment on this. Just to even think, like, he must have just been like sitting at home and there was back-to-back insurance commercials, and he's like, I bet Jake could take Flo. I bet. And it's just like from there, he's like, I've got it. Next, we'll make our way to Instagram. I'll read. One of these is like tails into the prompt that Dave put up earlier, but I'll read the first half of it. But for this one, we'll start off with our man Eric O'Donnell. He responded to kind of like the story that we put out with Lutz being let go, and he just said this is a good call. Something had to change besides just the coaches, and we kind of were saying like, yeah, you kind of really convinced me on it, where it was kind of like this was the right time, because you have to start getting wheels in motions when you're thinking of next year. And if you're going to do that, one of the first things you got to do as far as that goes is with the sporting director role. And then I'll read the rest of his answers a little bit later. And then we'll go to my man, Juan Eduardo Mundo Suentes, who is a fellow Ready to Live wellness person, and he's one of my favorite coaches that goes there. And shout out to him as well, because I believe this past weekend he was in a CrossFit competition and he took first place with his teammates. So shout out to him, season ticket holder and just an awesome dude and great coach. But he said, following Lutz's exit, I'm sure we'll see a slow trickle down exit of our OG players like Klaus, Leuven, Berkey, etc. Just curious, do you guys think we'll be better or worse following Lutz's departure? Of course, this depends on who comes in as a sporting director for the long run. I agree with that. I think with this, transition, and I want everybody to, kind of just start prepping themselves now. There's going to be a lot of year one OGs that you will not see next year. Now, I think with those three just mentioned, just from there, Klaus, Leuven, and Berkey, I see two of those three coming back, and it may be a hot take, but I see it being Klaus and Leuven. Mainly because I've seen reports that Berkey has been talking with other teams within the league. I know he said that like St. Louis is still the priority and all that good stuff, but I don't know if I see Berkey coming back next year. I would love to have him back. I'd love to. He's still one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I think he's definitely a fan favorite around here, and I think it would be, if the numbers are right, a smart decision to bring him back. I just don't know if the new sporting director would want to utilize a DP spot on a goalkeeper. And it just depends on who he brings in and what they're looking for. But I do think that you will see, this could mean worse news for a lot of the year one type players.
Yeah, because, you think of you're a player who's further along in your career, if you still have some opportunity, you might not necessarily want to go through a full-on rebuild. And you might not necessarily be in the plans, too. Like, it might be, sort of a deal where the new sporting director wants to strip everything down to the studs, the foundational players, and then, kind of refill. I don't think it'll be as big of maybe an exodus as people think, just because you've got plenty of guys under contract, and, it's not like you're overflowing with talented players that are desired by other teams. Like, they would go to other teams and a lot of these guys would be bench depth. So I think a couple of high-profile guys. I wouldn't be surprised for one if all three of those guys were gone, Eric. I think maybe it's more likely 2 or 3. I think Leuven, maybe with the medical issues with his wife, maybe have a need for more stability. But we'll have to wait and see. It's hard to convince. It's going to be hard to bring players in, because it's hard to get high-profile players to buy into a rebuild. I think that would be one of those things that would have to come later on down the line. Yeah,
that's a great point. We've saw that. I've been personally living that for the past couple of years with United. That's something that the players have been saying. They want to be on competitive teams straight away when they come there. They don't want to be a part of a rebuild process and maybe suffer and do a lot of the work for other people's reward down the line. And so that's a great point you bring up. So both those guys have answers to our prompts, but I will get to those when we get to the rest of the prompts later. So I'll send it over to Dave so he can get into all that, and then we'll read everybody's together.
Sweet. So let's start with Reddit, and we'll start with what those prompts were, because I thought that it was important to not just for us not to just dwell on the outcome of that game, but also to kind of build off of the outcome of that game and flow into the feelings that people were having about villains and grief and anger. So the prompt was that we saw the passion boil over last night. Obviously, I put this out on Sunday after that colossal debacle north of the border. So the prompts were, who is the biggest villain in sports? Number 2, your most hated villain in TV, movies / media. And number 3, your favorite grief / anger meal. That's my favorite one for sure. Eric, the biggest villain in sports. Do you have one in mind right now? I have one off the top of my head that
I have one,
without a doubt, locally is the biggest villain in sports.
Yeah, I was going to say that one popped in my head. I'm pretty sure we're on the same page with that one. But mine's more personal, but it's more personal, and it's not necessarily in sports. So I don't know if it would count. But I've said it before on this show. I hate Luis Suarez with a passion. I think he's
perfect though. This is so good. Yes, absolutely. Please continue.
He's such a terrible. Not only has he bit more players than City scored goals this year on field, and just the deplorable stuff that he's done on the field. Nothing tops it more than the racism row that he had against United's Patrice Evra years ago when he was playing for Liverpool. And then Patrice Evra then in the next game that they played went to just bury the hatchet and shake his hand, and he refused. And it's like, you're the racist. It was just, I just think he's just despicable. And every time I'll watch Inter Miami games, Kristen will be so confused because every time the other team ever scores against Miami, I just start laughing. And she's like, what do you have nothing in this? And I'm like, Miami's like, it hasn't, I know the Miami thing is just like annoying and everything, like, but to me, it's just all about Suarez. I'm just like, I don't want that dude to just nothing because he drives me nuts. I feel like I know yours, and it's definitely a big one. The thing that I'm assuming you're saying Kroenke on that one because it's pretty a big villainous
Absolutely.
thing. I think he's just a scum as far as an owner. I think the Glazers are terrible, but again, that's just more personal. But that one affects a league-wide sort of deal. So, and then the way it was handled and the way it was like taking shots at St. Louis and all that type of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a very common one from a lot of people on this list.
Yeah, and he's just he's a horrible human being. He's a slumlord. He didn't actually earn the majority of his wealth. He married into the majority of his wealth.
Right.
He essentially destroys every sports team that he touches. And I think that, and this is a common theme for me with villains, and I'm glad that you said Suarez because he fits into this mold too. The perfect villain, imperfect villain, most hated villain, whatever. One of the biggest qualities is that they can't be stopped. Right? Like, and especially I feel like that plays its way out in sports because, like, he's a billionaire. He's going to do whatever it is that he wants to do, whether that was move the team, shit on the city on the way out, kick a bunch of people out of their low-income housing to build like 1,000-acre ranch for himself. That's a real-life villain, right? Now, in the sports world, to think about somebody like Suarez who, like, yes, he's an absolute piece of shit, and he always has been, but at the same time, he was one of the best strikers in the world for a long time. So he was so good at what he did, and it just made you doubly hate him because he was he's an awful person, but he was really good at what he did, and he had a lot of success.
Or another thing that I find that makes a good villain as well, whether I agree with it or not, is then also some people idolize that person still. Like, while majority hate maybe with that, there's some people that will find like whether you look at like the Joker, a lot of people love the Joker and will use that or stuff like that. And it's where like a lot of people love Suarez. He's probably a ton of people, especially Barcelona fans, favorite player and stuff like that. But you're right. To me, anytime he would score, it was just this like, oh, I hate that guy. Like it brought out that like sort of like just infuriation in me, and so that's where I went with like that. For me, as far as villainous goes.
Another couple, and maybe not the mainstream American sports, or at least not like big 3 or 4. Max Verstappen in F1 last year was, and still continues to be, but he's one of the best drivers in the world, and he's just such a prick. He's such a prick. He complains constantly. He treats his whole team like absolute shit, yet he almost always wins. This year's a little bit different. He's actually got more competition this year, but just it's just that you just can't stop him. And
There's
Conor
almost
McGregor,
something
Conor McGregor at
Yeah.
his peak
Yeah.
was maybe the best villain ever. Like
Mm-hmm.
anywhere in sports, like at his peak, like he was untouchable, he was brash, he was rich, he was a stud at his sport, and he just did not give a crap. He just did whatever he wanted, talked to people however he wanted, like, to the point where, like, when he fought Khabib, was talking about Khabib's dad and Khabib's religion, and it's like, this man is going to kill you. And he had, like, the entire Muslim world, like, making death threats. It's like, that guy embraces being the villain, and which is why he was so successful at it.
Yeah, there's some dudes that just they you look at like Kobe Covington. He was just, I mean, not nowhere near that top level.
No, Kobe
But
Covington was a manufactured poser, but yeah,
But
I get what you're saying.
He played that card though because he knew it would keep him relevant, and it was
That's
like,
the difference between that's the biggest difference between like him and McGregor. McGregor is a true villain. Like none of that was an act from McGregor. It was an act from Colby to salvage a career that was going nowhere.
But McGregor was also one of the best salesmen the UFC has ever had.
Yes.
He knew.
Yes.
I mean, he knew that if I said those, he said those things, he would sell some pay-per-views as well. So yeah.
Colby was just a good wrestler. Colby was a good wrestler that put on a red hat and became a troll. I mean that's his career in general. And I guess when you kiss the boss's ass enough, you get title shots for absolutely nothing. So that's a different sport. We could start a podcast about that too.
Why not? Why not?
So
Let's have more,
the most
connectivity issues.
Yeah, most hated villain in TV, movie, or media for you.
Oh man. I think the first one that pops in my head, and the first one that I was like just genuinely like, and I think he got like even like off screen just like a ton of threats and stuff, was Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones. Like
Oh my God. Yes. That's so
he was
good.
just like, I mean, it was one where it was just like, I mean, the way the actor played him and everything. I know Joffrey was a lot of people as well, and I think that's actually why the actor quit acting, was because of like the off
because of the
stuff
hatred
he was getting a lot.
Yeah,
like it was sad that he experienced that, but again, it's just a credit to his work. But I just remember that whole storyline for Ramsay Bolton, like some of the things that were said and the actions in that show. It was just like you found yourself watching with like clenched fists, just being like,
yeah.
And I don't know if it was also as well like having a daughter at that time, and then seeing the way he was treating,
Could be.
I'm drawing.
Yeah.
It was like
Sansa.
there was
Sansa.
Sansa, yes. That was one where I was just like, I think everybody was like, just there was like celebrations when his character got killed off. Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah,
that one jumps out. That one jumps out to me.
Well, in Game of Thrones, I think he's way behind Cersei. I think Cersei Lannister's way like she might be the perfect TV villain, because like
she's
between her and Walter White for me, because like they're so despicable, but like there are things that they wrote into their stories that you're like, okay, maybe they're okay. Maybe they're just misunderstood, like her with like the kids or whatever, Walt, same way. But then they go and they just like mass murder like thousands of people just because they don't like the way that they spoke to them. Like, Game of Thrones. I think she's the lead. God, they're so most hated. I didn't want to put favorite or best, because I feel like you get into like this weird like almost like an echo chamber. Like if you went with like favorite or best, like I mean my answers lie a lot in like Tarantino movies, and then like Anton Chigurh and No Country for Old Men, because he played that role so well and he was such a psychopath. Like most hated, God, it's just and there are so many different genres of everything, to hate. Like our audience, especially the No Goal Patrol side, I wanted to mention just and like for us too, and for Katie, I guess Katie especially, like if you want to go into the Disney world, how about like Ursula from The Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
That was, That's a pretty strong one.
I'll jump ahead to our buddy Eric O'Donnell. He said, "Villain in movies is whoever shot Bambi's mom," and it's just like, that's a great. Or
the hunter.
You think about the purple bear in Toy Story. It's like, yeah, dude, he was.
Oh God, yeah, he was a monster.
You could get into like, yeah, I agree with you, where you could really like get into like some like, yeah, like frustrations and stuff, but I think that's why you got to get away from the favorite, because and
if you go in the horror world, you get there's so many.
God, yeah. Or like I was saying, like the Joker, or even in Lord of the Rings, I almost see more Nazgul, Witch King, and Sauron merch sold than I do like any of the heroes, and it's just like some people just enjoy their look or their the way they carry themselves, or just how
Lord of the Rings,
or whatever.
Lord of the Rings, there's so many like underlings that seem like they were so much more evil. I was thinking of like Wormtongue,
Wormtongue,
yeah, like he's like one of the worst. God, we could talk about this all night, but no, that was a good one.
Yeah.
And the third one was your favorite grief or anger meal, sometimes called shame meals. To be perfectly technical, a shame meal is the cheapest, most filling meal possible after you lose all your money at the casino, other than what you're feeding yourself with. Shout out to Zaring and DH for shame meals.
I love that. Shame meal. Well, shame would be.
It's not the same. It's in the same world.
Than grief.
Yeah, anger and grief. Like you want to eat your feelings.
Well, typically, if I'm angry, it's more of a liquid diet than it is, physical. But yeah, I guess what I would say, like, just something that I just need, almost like, I guess we could almost teeter into the realm of like comfort, but you're doing it because of your it's just like some just ice cream. I feel like that's the one that like you hold just in the fridge.
I think
you've
gone to that one before. You've gone like with late night to ice cream before.
Hi, I'm Eric, and I have an ice cream addiction that I need to like. Is this my intervention? Is this how you brought it out of me?
No, I don't see it as a problem at all.
That's the one thing that like, man, like it's. I just can't quit you ice cream. Like everything else, like I can do pretty well with myself, and I'll, I guess if you really want to get into like grief or shame, it would be if it's the kids' ice cream and it's at night, and then you have to play off the like. You have to play off the like. I melted in the fridge. I don't know what happened.
Halloween's a couple months away. You do the same thing.
Because now I'm doubling up on the candy intake.
It's gonna be a really hard Halloween year, man. Trying to eat clean, and then you get into the fall. Oh God, just the worst.
All the best flavors come around in fall,
except for pumpkin.
Apple,
except for pumpkin.
No. I'm not a big pumpkin spice person or anything.
That's a David flavor, I believe. I could be proved wrong. I'm pretty sure he's a big pumpkin guy. I know he likes pumpkin beer, so maybe not pumpkin spice latte so much. Yeah.
He would fit the mold of a pumpkin spice latte.
I am going to jump ahead because my answer, I think, would be almost exactly what the Road Dogg answered. So he had a submission, and then he answered all the prompts, but his prompt number 3, I think, is reflective of mine. He said a McDonald's double quarter pounder meal, large, and a 10-piece nugget with honey mustard. Like that's almost verbatim. I think that would be in my top 2 or 3. Like that is an eat my feelings, I don't give a flying F like type of meal, and it usually comes like after 2 in the morning, in that magical hour before McDonald's stops serving dinner and starts serving breakfast.
Yeah, for me, man, if I was out, I'll just say that, like if I'm out, it would probably be some like heavy pancakes, some sort of breakfast like food, like waffles, pancakes, French toast, especially French toast. Like that's one to where like I was talking about, me and my wife were talking about this the other night. We were eating something and I couldn't remember what it was, but it was one where like we were just both starving and we wolfed it down, and like we were almost saying like, hey, we should probably give this like a good 10 minutes and see where it settles, because it's that type of food that just slowly makes its way, and then if you keep committing to it, you get to that point of like, oh man, like it is spread out, and now I feel uncomfortable. That's like pancakes or French toast. When that starch just slowly expands in that stomach, in the moment you can't stop, and then it hits in, and you're just like,
once it hits your lips, it's so good.
Yeah. You're like, I've made a mistake.
So Saturday before the City game was kind of a weird, rough day for us and for my wife in general. Just a lot of stuff going on, and we ended up getting Panda Express, which, lo and behold, Panda Express turns to be a good grief/anger meal.
Dude, yes, Asian cuisine.
It really does.
Like,
the Asian
Panda
fusion,
Express,
yeah. She gets the Beijing beef with a double chow mein, and I got the double hot orange chicken with a single chow mein. Both very, very strong orders. That standalone
Solid,
Panda Express is a game changer. And I think it's really interesting, and we'll move on to the rest of these, but I've started to notice that the malls have gone away, but the food from the malls now is making a comeback in standalone restaurants, because I'm seeing like standalone Sbarros and Panda Expresses now. Yes.
Sbarros is standalone?
There was a standalone Sbarro in, where the hell were we? I think we were in Bentonville, Arkansas, and there was a standalone Sbarro. No, I'm sorry. It was in an airport. It was in the airport it was in the airport in Cabo. That's where it was. But I know that I've seen other ones since then. So yes,
we should open a standalone restaurant that is just airport food. So it's got like, you could get slices of Sbarro, you could get Panda Express.
Yes.
You have some Annie Ann's pretzels or
yes.
a Cinnabon for your option. And then
we just open up and we can just call it the food court. There you go.
Food court.
They just call it the food court. That sounds like the name of a podcast. That's what this podcast should be called, is the food court.
Yeah. I feel it. Yeah, it really should. The food court. Yes. Look for that coming out on Saturdays now, because now
that's what we're recording. That's what we're recording on Fridays and putting out on Saturdays.
We're going to have an episode every day of the week, and it's just different genres each week. We'll have movies and music talk on one day. We'll have the food court on the next day. Like,
dude, this idea is brilliant. Workshop this with me for a second, okay? There are three of us. The food court. Every week, two of us have to make a case for or against a restaurant or food, and the third one is the judge, and it's food court. Oh my God! It's $1 million idea. All right,
brilliant idea.
Let's do it.
It's a shame Jay Clem's going to cut our internet. Nobody will ever hear.
Nobody will ever know about it.
Nobody will ever know.
Well, that way we can workshop it a little more. So, all right, let's grind these submissions out.
The only requirement I have is that David, the nights that he is the judge, is that he has to wear a white wig, just like the judges, like old school judges.
Oh, I think anyone should have to. Whoever the judge is has to wear the white wig.
We
absolutely
rotate the white wig every night.
Yes. All right. All right, we got to run through these because it's so late already. All right, they call me Sly Fox. Checked in. I've been fully supportive of Berkey standing on the line backwards during the PK, relieving the goal entirely. As a captain, a fierce competitor, a generally awesome dude, I understand why he didn't, but imagine the narrative difference if he would have. It would have cheapened and completely overshadowed Muller's moment. That's a really funny idea.
Yeah, dude, that would have been funny. Especially the whole like Bayern Dortmund rivalry as well with those two, just to be like, dude.
Yeah. But he goes on to talk about how he was supportive. He would have been supportive of the team walking off the field, and another insult to a season full of injuries, and how we can't win 11-13. Yeah, it does feel like that sometimes, but you just got to grind through. So, Dog Pack, aka Road Dog. Morning, y'all. That was a gut punch in the gut. That was a punch in the gut kind of game. I'm not one of those conspiracy theory people who think that sports are scripted, but after last night, it's really hard not to believe that stuff. Our guys played a decent game and kept us in it the whole way. You know it's bad when the opposing manager says he's sorry to your coach after. So for his villain in sports, it seems right now it's referees across most sports. It's trouble finding honest referees. It seems the NHL really hasn't been the only one that doesn't have anything bad. Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter as most hated villain. I've never seen any of those movies, so and I saw that answer. I saw that answer quite a bit. The actor that portrayed her made me hate her so much I almost don't want to watch the movie. That's strong. That's a good acting job. That's like Skylar in Breaking Bad. Like, you hate her just so much that you don't want to watch her scenes.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, that's a good shout.
All right, let me move over to Discord, and we'll wrap this show up.
Wouldn't that be such a tough thing as an actor? You work so hard, and you feel like you delivered such a great performance, and you did so well that everybody still just hates you off screen, and you're like,
yeah,
dude,
it's
like,
almost the ultimate.
Like,
it's almost the ultimate compliment, though. Like, you were that good at it that people hate you so much. I mean, obviously, you don't want it to ruin your career, but
yeah,
okay.
Right, but yeah.
Fando Beth, sports villain Don Garber, movie etc. Voldemort, and for the meal she chose starvation because she tends not to eat in the anger grief scenarios.
It's honestly probably the smart way to take things. Is just
I'm not dying with a full angry stomach. Fando Phil said Don Garber for sports villain. For the meal, a can of Dr. Pepper or a bowl of ice cream. I would advise Phil to take that can of Dr. Pepper and pour it into that bowl of ice cream and make yourself a little grief float. Dr. Pepper float is strong. I'm a big advocate of floats. Coke float, root beer float, Dr. Pepper float, even an orange float. I like an orange float too. A little dreamsicle action.
I think I know our first food court debate.
It's gonna be such a good. That should just be. God, we gotta workshop this. This may be a segment. This may be a segment.
It's
All
gonna
right.
be Friday's food court. Friday's food court right there. There we go. It's coming.
So many podcasts that no one will listen to. Okay, Fight Lord Colton. Sports villain has to be Jerry Sandusky. God, Colton got real serious about it. Like, that's a real life villain. I mean, it's probably the right answer, but we wanted to be somebody that was just like not a criminal, but I love Colton. It's a perfect answer.
That's a great answer. Yeah.
Movie villain for him was Bellatrix Lestrange from Harry Potter. That wasn't the same one that Road Dogg mentioned, was it? Is that the same character?
No, he said
Dolores Umbridge. I don't like any of those names. I don't like those names.
Lestrange is just pure evil, yeah.
Okay. We'll always hate her. Killed two of the best characters in the whole series. Colton couldn't eat anything Saturday. He was too mad. You gotta eat your feelings, everyone. Don't hold it in. It's therapeutic food. Trust me. I didn't get this body. I didn't get this body from not learning how to express myself.
Yeah. R2L Wellness does not condone the opinions of Dave Wyckoff on the show.
But Felix's and Esteo Kalachi do.
Yeah, so you're right.
Yeah, EFT.
Yeah.
EFT and Ready to Live Wellness want you to be fit. Esteo Kalachi and Felix's want you to be full. How about that? There you go.
This question wasn't asked on that day, so thank you.
All right. Jerry said Don Garber, hands down. She also said the media. Interesting. Oh, no. I know what that answer is. Sorry, Jerry. It's a political comment. I'll tell you about it offline, Eric.
Okay.
The movie was Hannibal Lecter, so realistically evil. I have never watched the entire film and won't. Wow. I mean, that one. Wow, that's really good because the character was played so well, and the character was written really well too. So I don't find myself like hating the character, but yeah, I could see where that one would scare the hell out of you. Meal, mac and cheese with an old-fashioned chaser. I like Jerry's style, man. Mac and cheese and an old-fashioned.
Just straight up, man. Straight up.
Oh, God. Johnny Love says this sports one is Rob Manfred, the man trying to kill baseball. Absolutely, Johnny. I love it. And I'm the man. I'm the one who called him the man trying to kill baseball, but that's what he's doing. He literally called the World Series trophy just a piece of metal. I'm cool with him trying to evolve the game and make a better, more interesting product, but that was a hard fall. Matt Stockel says Cronky, movie villain Hans Landa. God, that's a good one too. Inglourious Bastards, Tarantino movie.
Yep.
Again,
Yep.
like not so much like a hated character for me as much as just like an excellently written and acted. Like just one of the best one of the best Tarantino characters that he's ever had. Christoph Waltz, man, like awesome.
Yeah.
And then
He's unreal.
yeah, and then Emil Matt Stockel, extremely spicy foods. I think it's supposed to say foods. He actually said he said extremely spicy nudes, but I think he meant noodle. This is a family show, Matt.
Yeah, man.
We don't want spicy nudes. That's for after dark.
After dark.
The bonus best villain. Bonus best villain is Thanos, but that's nostalgia talking. And then that's all we have. Jerry weighed in at the end that Stan Kroenke is always on the shit list, so we couldn't end the episode without talking a little bit more shit on the biggest piece of trash in the sports world, Stanley Kroenke.
There we go. I got my 2 answers here for Juan and Eric from a little earlier. So Juan says, to answer the prompt, biggest sports villain, he said, probably going to get reamed for this one, but I refuse to conform to being included in Chiefs Kingdom. So Patrick LeVon Mahomes II is his sports villain.
That's such a hater take. That's such a hater take. Like, how can you not like Patrick Mahomes? Like,
I can see it. I can see
it. You cannot like his wife. I'm down with that.
The flopping on the field now and just the constant bitching to the ref is getting a little old at this point.
It's not anything different. Well, I guess this isn't a great comparison because I hated Tom Brady for a long time too.
I'd say Tom Brady's the same, and a lot of people hated him
Brady.
as well. Again, we touched on this. There's something about the success factor that plays into.
Yeah, but these aren't like unlikable humans though. That's my maybe Brady, but to me Mahomes is not like this unlikable human, or he doesn't appear to be off the field.
No, I agree, but I'm trying to defend my buddy.
He's got a dad bod. How can I dislike a guy with a dad bod? That's why you Ready to Live guys don't like him, is because he's got dad bod and he makes $500 million.
No, I don't like that he's got Kermit the Frog's voice and he puts ketchup on steaks. That's why I don't like him. That's a undeniable food court judge slamming the hammer on the thing.
Oh yeah, that's a no contest there. Absolutely.
He said most hated villain in media. He said either Joffrey from Game of Thrones or Professor Umbridge from Harry Potter. And then favorite grief meal, he said chicken noodle soup because it usually means I'm sick with a cold, in which case I'm close to death. Anger meal, I don't know. I don't think I've ever eaten angry. And it is funny to think about eating angry because you're just not enjoying the food. I just picture somebody with a bowl just clanking that spoon, just mad at every single bite. Kroenke said, "What about the St. Louis?" That's what I want to picture.
You're eating your feelings, man. And God,
Yeah.
First of all, hilarious what he said about having a cold and being near death, because all of our wives would concur with that. Because apparently, adult men, we get a little sniffles and we think we're gonna die. But chicken noodle soup, man, it's gotta be more caloric than that. Come on.
I got a hot take. And
hot take.
It's polar opposite from what
Is this food court worthy?
Yeah, I'm not a soup guy. I don't ever want soup.
No soups?
Never sounds
None of them?
No.
Not even thicker
No.
soups?
No, it's not filling to me. I just don't. The closest that I'll get to is a chili, a white chicken chili, and then my mom used to make this Thai chicken, chicken noodle soup. But again, I don't know. That's more nostalgic. I would never want that as a meal.
Not like potato soup?
Nope.
Really?
That's her jam is soups. That's all she makes those all week and everything. And I think she makes them knowing because I won't touch them.
We made
hers,
one.
She doesn't have to worry about me.
We made one last week. This new recipe that we found called cheeseburger soup. That was honestly one of the best things that I think I've ever made. It was super simple. Just ground beef, shredded carrots, cheese. Man, what else was in there? It was so damn good. Celery, a little bit of cream cheese, a little bit of milk. Oh, it was so good. I love soup.
I mean, they're always fine, but it's just I don't want that ever as a meal. It's got to be accompanying.
What if it's Ravenelli's got that tortellini soup? That's pretty filling. What about that?
No,
You're hopeless.
not as
This
big
is the first case in the food court, and you are guilty.
Well, it's going to go to the judge, so we'll see.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we've got Eric O'Donnell's answers. Biggest sports villain in sports, he said, is Aaron Rodgers with his stupidity and damn
I
near
like that
everything.
one. I like that one a lot.
Aaron Rodgers has definitely turned his. He's definitely went heel from.
Oh, he's always been
years.
heel. He's always been
He
heel.
was
Yeah.
He was likable by a lot more people earlier on.
Maybe if you're a
I'd say
Packer
more
fan.
people don't.
Yeah.
True. Villain in movies. He said whoever shot Bambi's mom, and I love that thought process.
Katie will like that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good shout. And then he said favorite grief meal, and I'm a big fan of this one, is a big bowl of banana pudding with some wafers in there. I love a good banana, like vanilla wafer pudding combo, whatever.
Yeah.
It is. That's super solid.
That's strong. I got one more horrendous addition to the cartoon world villains, and this is probably going to make my wife weep. But whoever ran the circus that they put Dumbo's mom in.
Yes. She's right on that one. Yes. She's
So
right on
we
that
end the
one.
episode on a down note.
Dude, yeah, we got to come up with something else to switch it up. But the thing is like really like if you want to talk about like thinking like our age and stuff, like cartoons back in the day or like animated movies, like when we were younger, we really took that a lot more personally. So that like
Oh, I
really
still do.
hits a lot
You don't?
home.
You don't take it personally
No,
now?
but I'm saying it sticks with you. Like you'll always like remember that. Like
I almost think I take it more personally now. Because I didn't have feelings back then. I was just a little sociopath.
Yeah, you have a little bit more more like other reasoning too.
Empathy?
Like yeah. No, those are all great.
They were
shouts.
great. Thanks to everybody for the submissions. They were great. The people's episode, and we've had no, knock on wood, serious internet connection problems in the last like 40 minutes. So let's wrap this bad boy up, Eric.
Well, there goes that. So thanks a lot for that, Dave. But yeah, we really do appreciate all the submissions. This was a ton of fun as always, and we want to thank all our sponsors for bringing us those submissions. And of course, that was Felix's Pizza Pub. Check them out at 6401 Clayton Avenue in Dogtown. It's City on Tap Bar. So again, if you can't be there Saturday, you're not going to find any place to be, and you want to talk about a good grief meal, go get you a big old slice of pizza and some of those award-winning wings, and wash it down with a nice little cold beer on tap. We also want to thank all our sponsors, including our title sponsors, Ready Live Wellness. Check them out at 1530 South Kings Highway Boulevard or online at R2L Wellness, as well as Warrior Logo Wear. Check them out at 12 East Main Street in Mascoutah, Illinois. And then last week's episode, we also had our Elite News and Notes, and that was brought to you by Elite FT. Check them out at eliteft.com. We kicked off this episode with another fantastic grief meal, and that would be STL Kolache. Check them out at STL Kolache in Sunset Hills at 1530 South Kirkwood Road in St. Louis. Yes, Dave.
I had one last villain that I wanted to think of, and just I think that this is the perfect way to end like a discussion about good versus evil and how good should usually triumph over evil, but not always. So.
Oh, no, mute. Where is it? There it is. All right, he's muted, so we don't all have to hear that because you want to talk about just a truly villainous person. It's somebody that would do that to us. As long as these episodes make it to air, make sure you're following us on all. How do you figure out? Make sure you're checking us out on all our socials on Instagram. We're South End Supporters, our Twitter, and our Reddit is _podcast STL. And then make sure you're also checking us out on our Facebook page and YouTube to keep up with all things South End Supporters. So for myself, Eric Cole, for the Monday Morning Center back, Dave Wyckoff, and our buddy DH, who's out this week, you've been listening to South End Supporters. I'll see you next week. Until then, let's go City.